Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And greetings, blessings, salutations, and love once again. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. And stumbling, I never really do know what is the right title for this. I know there's a lot of people that got different names for me, but this kind of is church for me. Welcome, brothers and sisters, on this Sunday, sincerely. Let's settle in. It's not church, but it is fellowship. And I want to sincerely thank all of you for joining, right? Greetings and blessings to all of you, whether it's here in the now or at a later time or a restream or wherever you find me. Today I've got these energies again, so let's see where today may bring us. This reminder from Luke 6:27-28. But I say unto you, what? But I say unto you which hear, love your enemies, do good to them which hate you, bless them that curse you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. Boy, if that isn't a lesson for me in these days, man. It seems, for those of you who've been around a little bit, the Talcottian lore and the journey that we're going through, man, there's a lot of people that find entertainment in finding me as an enemy. And I have none. I truly do have love. In these words, brothers and sisters, it starts out tough. We'll get into this. It starts out tough trying to love those who hurt you or who have hurt you, but it gets easier. And I'm going to share some things today that I hope will be helpful. So let's start with the start. May the divine faith, love, and peace of Christ Jesus, may that example be known and lived through us all today. And that brings up the question, the topic. If you could, would you try? Oops, what am I doing here? If you could, would you try? I mean, life, every day, it brings us opportunities and the responsibility to grow. Every single day. That's what we're here for, is to grow. And I realize this, the power of words, right? Pay attention to things and find the similarities between words. It allows you to see the same thing from different perspectives. Take the word responsibility, for example. Every responsibility that's placed upon us can be a burden, or we can realize that trust that has been given to us is an opportunity. So every day that we live, we have the opportunity to grow greater than we were yesterday, to grow greater than we've ever been before. We have the opportunity to grow. And guess what? With that opportunity, if you want to be honest and honorable, you better accept responsibility for that opportunity. Because if you don't focus on growing you, the world will grow you. And you may not like the way that the world grows you. JET is my initials. Yes. I didn't make the sign. That was painted to me by a friend of mine here in town. Interesting character who came through my adventures for a while. But that is kind of the interesting part about me living as me. My life truly has become an adventure. I haven't had I've had a lot of plans, and I've got a clear sight on what I anticipate and where I'm heading for the future. I mean, peace is my purpose. Peace on earth. That's my purpose. That's all I care about. Finding a way. I know there's a way to end wars, which, you know what? Let's jump into this. If you could do anything, would you try? If you could, would you try? Would you try to understand? Would you try to grow out of your old ways? Would you try to grow into something new, something different? If you could. I mean, would you try if you could? I started wondering those things about myself once I started getting into self development, and I started pressing myself. Well, Jack, if you could become more healthy, what would you do? What would you want to try? What direction? I've been focusing, most of my own personal attention has been growing in my spiritual health and my mental health because I know the body will follow. And I tell you what, my body feels amazing with my intentional dedication, personal dedication, my choice to take responsibility for me, for my mental health, for my spiritual health. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing. God has given us life. Life. It's a dynamic system of complex systems that bring forth everything. We call it the day, right? Today, it is brought to us through so many infinite variables, brings us forth into the day. Some of my thoughts on the way to church this morning. And it does tie to these. I'll swing all of these back. And I do intend on dropping the link later. We're going to see where the energy flows. Maybe short like yesterday, maybe long like other days, but we'll see where it goes. Something I was considering about the goal to having inner peace, right? If you can find the willingness and the benefit for yourself to have the goal of inner peace, here's the way. You become comfortable with that which is real. See, and when I started taking responsibility for myself and looking into a lot of these things, this is what I found. If you want to know God, you want to know the world, you got to start with you. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know anything. Most people don't know who they are because they think their thoughts are real. Most of your thoughts, if you're anything like me, most of your thoughts are unreal. They're fleeting. They're not permanent. They're temporary. Thoughts come and go. They change directions. They go off over here. They come down here. They go up, right? Thoughts are not real. So if your thoughts are not real, if most of your thoughts are unreal, what do? Surrender. Surrender away that which is not real so that you can be comfortable with that which is. Because when we allow ourselves to be without thought, we allow ourselves to be with that which is real. And that which is real is now, nothing more. All of the past is just memories carrying around in your mind. All of the future is just imagination carrying around in your mind. What's in your mind may not be real. So be willing. I encourage you, be willing to let it go. If you want to know true inner peace, the path is very simple. It's surrendering from your attachments, surrendering from your fears, your worries, your limitations. All of these fears and worries and limitations that we carry around within us, it's from the ego, the false ego, the inauthentic character who the world wants us to become. The world wants you to become an inauthentic character so that you go along to get along. Because authentic people don't always obey. Authentic people choose. They do what is right. They do what is good. But see, in the context of the likelihood most of your thoughts are unreal, and that the realization that within you, the Bible will call it the flesh, right? The body of you, the character of you wants to be right, right? It always wants to fight and be right. Well, the spirit within you, the Christic that is true, the spirit knows that the only thing that is right is good. Good is what is right. The ego wants to fight for control, for superiority. It wants to fight for separation and power. It's insane. Allow the insanity to be surrendered so that you can know the peace of goodness that is in the present when you align your mind and your heart and your body into that which is real. I went to church this morning. No surprise. God is that which is real. Love is true. The truth. The truth is the power. So, something I've been considering, and I know many of the traditions and the dogmas, people want to latch on this idea that only God is perfect. Okay, great. Does that mean you have the excuse to make excuses, to be rude, to be less than? No, no. Perfection is the goal. We align with perfection when we surrender to the presence of time and God itself. When we stop fighting our egoic desires and our fleshly lusts, our revenge, our hate, all of these negativity, when that's surrendered away, you can accept. Well, I'll ask you, if you could accept that there's levels of perfection already existing within you, could you accept some levels of perfection with you, as you? Can you allow yourself to consider that you're exactly how God created you to be? Now, just because you are how you are today doesn't mean you have to stay that way, because back to the beginning, every day is an opportunity to grow. And we all have the responsibility to grow into the best versions of us who we can. And here's the secret that I think has been known throughout the time. The best version you can become is already there. It's within you right now. The best version you can become is this spirit of goodness that is eternally present for you to embody. The Christic, the example of Jesus, is for us all to emulate in our best ways. Some days we're awkward, some days we're clumsy, but we're here to grow. So from the sermon today, you know, there was my words are supported by scripture. I just don't pull up the scripture to go to the exact words, but putting God first, what does that mean? What would that mean for you? Putting God first, with you, for you. Well, it means serving God's creation. It means serving forth the day, the goodness, just like God serves forward to you, to me. The goodness has been offered to us in abundance. Mother Earth is just one example. The people you know, the people you love, especially, they're another example of God's goodness. Everything we have, everything comes from God. So how can you not? Well, for us to grow individually, right? Our God, our creator, the Father that Jesus spoke of, that creator, that source of light and life, is the infinite knowledge. Infinite wisdom is found with God. All we've got to do is grow into wisdom, to align with God, grow and learn. That's what life is. We're all growing, we're all learning. We don't have to be so bitter with each other. We don't have to be so divided, finding reasons to push each other away. No, you stay small. No, you stay small. Don't rise up. Don't be different. This world we live in is absolutely backwards. It's so insane. Selfishness has been rewarded throughout throughout the media, throughout the society. Selfishness has been glorified. Violence has been glorified. Brothers and sisters, if we want a world of peace, which I do, and I trust you do too, this world of peace has to start with you. It started with me and in my life, and I was inspired by many others. Like you, like me, many others inspired me to become a greater version of me, a more peaceful version of me, a more kind, a more generous, a more gentle version of me. If you want more hope in your life, seek God. And trust. If you could seek God in your own life, would you try? If you could know more, would you try to learn? If you could understand more, would you try? If you could do more to achieve more, would you try? We're here to try. Actually, we're here to be. We're here to be tried, maybe. I don't know. We try and we do. But a couple other notes, and I'll drop this up. And actually, hey, there you go. It's you. um, hey, that way, yes. First seek the kingdom of heaven. Repent to know the kingdom of heaven. What does it mean to repent? It means to change. It means to admit when you're wrong, change direction, humble yourself to the truth. Come correct. That's kind of what it means. And when we do find that kingdom of heaven, if you're anything like me, you will want to share it. And I do. I want to invite all to join. The kingdom of heaven is real. It's an experience. Every experience we process, it's all in the mind. So start with the mind, where your body will not travel, where you will not allow your mind to go. Your body will not travel where you do not allow your mind to go. So if you allow your mind to go to heaven, to align with the heavenly thoughts of peace, of wholeness, of perfection, if you allow your mind to go there, why wouldn't your body follow? Here's a wild card, and
fastest link in the panelverse.
Yes, you are. Welcome,
yes,
brother.
I've been growing, Jack. I've been growing weary of this chat panelverse foundation. I've been growing tired of them, and my rage has been untethered, and it knows no bounds, Jack. I've been growing.
Boundless
Jack,
rage.
Are you ready for some truth today? We have to deliver it kind of eccentrically, or the powers that shouldn't be will hear me. They'll know my ruse is afoot, and they'll come for me, Jack. But you've been on a mission to end legal secrets, but the futility in your overall goals is, how do you expect to end secrets, Jack? Did you know that there's a sect, a secret society, not even the one that I speak of that my name portrays? Uh, they're referenced twice in the third Godfather movie because they've infested the Vatican so heavily that they're not permitted to expose that they are members of this secret society. And the Vatican will say they want this secret society out of the Vatican, and you don't know who is that. And they're basically the reasons that the Pope communicates with alleged alien life forms in the cave underneath Vatican City. They're the reason that all this thing is going to happen into the beast system, the way it's
Well,
always foretold.
those secrets are what is holding the beast system together. And hey, we've got another wild card, and I don't
Yes,
want to rock the energy,
I
but I
just
want to
need
see where this
to
goes.
acknowledge someone in the chat. If you give me 1 second.
Okay,
Boom,
great.
wicked down. Boom, wicked down. Boom, wicked down. Whoa, Black Betty. Ambulance. Whoa, Black Betty. Ambulance. I see you out there, ambulance.
Welcome. I feel like I'm being, I don't know, are you multiplying?
No, there's only one me. The rest are fraudsters, fakers, TOS violators. It's either Paul. It's either Paul or his boyfriend. His
Yeah.
boyfriend wears my face more often, but Paul doesn't have as much a chance of losing his kneecaps IRL as his boyfriend does.
Fascinating. You said something I don't remember. Oh, the secrets. This is where,
the most secretive of secrets.
well, here's the thing. The levels of secrecy, they've already been there, they are already being, and many have been exposed. But
Nope.
what blows my mind is the lack of willingness of the masses to do anything about the obvious corruption.
The lack of backing your alleged goals of ego. Like, that's your ego goals, Jack. This idea that you're going to end war. And
Well,
this guy, if this guy's who I think, he's seen those Godfather movies. He's seen those Godfather movies. He'll back me up
Let's
on
come back. You want to claim it's an egoic. Why do you believe it's not a spirit led?
because the Bible requires war. And the Bible never says war is bad.
Tom,
Jesus never said make sure you end war.
Tom, we're here to follow the way.
More wars and rumors of wars.
Tommy, are we not supposed to follow the way?
Well, you're supposed to obey the law, which is
The
believe
law.
on the Christ.
And what did Jesus command?
The first rule, the most important, believe on him. Do the bidding, do the will of the Father, which is before you get into all that love stuff.
Love the neighbors.
It's
love each other.
It's not the hippie thing trying to oppose it. That's the delusion of the West, that the West was sold with the secrets, Jack.
Hey,
this
Tommy,
is the age of information. You need to catch up.
Hey, Tommy, in this stream right here and now, if you could allow us to have a conversation, would you try? Would you try to allow us to have a conversation?
Jack, the best conversation we can have is if you'd probably just let me and this handsome-looking square below me, if you just let us go. I'm going to make it confusing for Jack. I'm going to change my name to exactly what that square's name is. And then he won't know. It's like the shell game along the pier. He won't know which is which. Then we'll see what secrets.
Here's something. Actually, I can't control anyone who joins, nor what they choose to do. I can only invite. But something I was considering about earlier, it's pretty obvious and true. We cannot control that which we do not know.
Oh,
And
good one.
well, and you and many others claim to know me, and there's many who keep trying to control me, and I see people trying to control each other, but we
I
don't
don't
know each other.
I
You
don't
don't
see
know
anybody
me,
trying to
Tommy.
control me. I
Tommy,
don't think I'm trying to control anybody.
well, you're not allowing me to, well, you're finding a lot of disagreements with me, and so I'm wondering. I'm of the belief that we can get along. It's just a matter of choosing to try. And it's not just with you. There's something going on in my life. A lot of people who claim to know me actually are lying through their asses. I mean, that nonsense of snafu and chemo. I know many people have been having fun.
Jesus, Snafu's on chemotherapy?
No,
Does Snafu have cancer?
I have no idea what he's got.
I mean,
Here,
some
there's
prayers
another
can be answered.
Let me see where this goes. I'm not sure why Tarek is here, but welcome.
Hey,
I
Jack.
think he's talking to you.
Hey, Tommy.
Which one?
I don't know which one, but I
You
come
know?
in good faith always, Jack, no matter how much I say. Okay?
Okay,
Here's
but
my
Tarek,
question.
hey
Go ahead.
Tarek, why should I want you, even in my experience, after the things you've been saying? What makes you think that you have anything I want? Sincerely, I'm trying to be honest and understand.
Yep.
I think he.
Okay. I can tell you. It's up to you always, but here's the thing, right? Like you just said, the snafu and the chemo thing and all that, right?
He
I was
has
on.
cancer?
No,
I don't know all that, but
my old high school friend is named Chemo.
Was he
Chemo
Samoan?
and he's Hawaiian. Chemo and
yeah.
Snafu are running around calling me
Well,
vicious
I
lies.
knocked him out one time and then I said Himalayan. You get it?
Anyway, please let
All
Tarek
right,
finish.
but Jack, let me explain to you why I'm here and why I'm always about the truth. Okay, even though I did say some things about you when with the chemo and snafu with the interview, right?
Jack's got cancer?
Oh my God, could I speak for 1 second, Tommy? Just let me get to the point.
Okay.
I am sorry, but today on Snafu's broadcast, I told Snafu that chemo, even though he came, to his broadcast, there's still things that are not lining up. And Snafu got a little bit agitated. But my question was,
Who
if
watches that?
Chemo said himself in the interview, Jack, that the girl was unconscious, right? And
Oh, it
I
was just
told
that funny.
Snafu, if the girl was unconscious, and after 2 days, she spoke to Chemo and told him exactly what happened. How does that make sense? She's unconscious. So
Yeah,
that
she was
would
just
go,
acting like that to get some.
what I'm saying, that would go against the allegations
Hey,
of
Tarek,
Jack being great.
hey, Tarek, if you could know the truth, would you try to know the truth?
Yes.
Okay, I have repeatedly said Chemo was very inaccurate in his memory. Much of what he said has been false. So, Tarek, there is no evidence that Jack committed these horrible, atrocious acts other than someone with the same amount of credibility as Snafu. So, Tarek, can you accept the truth, that I'm innocent?
I do see a conspiracy here.
I can accept.
Talcott Clip Collections has recently disappeared, the whole channel, and that contained the clip of Jack saying he preferred conscious women.
Oh God. Uh, to answer your question, Jack, what I can say is based on what I just told you in terms of that, there
How
is
about what
no.
I said, Tarek? How about you try, if you could,
Okay.
focus on my words here in the
Okay.
present, that God is revealing me, honestly speaking to you. So, Tarek, could you accept that Jack has been wrongfully accused, as I have been saying? Can you accept that
Yes,
possibility, or
yes,
would you
I can
please
accept that.
try?
But hold on. Yes, yes, I
Okay.
can accept that
So
with
then,
with a stipulation. No, hold on. Yes, I think sometimes people are coming after you. I told you that long time ago. But I also would have to say, based on what I know and I've seen from a lot of you, is you do have some issues in terms of
okay,
anger
Tarek,
and
Tarek,
predatory.
Tarek,
I
you're
like that.
confusing the issue. The one issue before us right now is my innocence of these horrible accusations of rape.
And I have been defending the fact that it's not on.
Goodbye, Tarek.
If I was a girl that went to a house party, I might maybe stick to a 3-drink minimum or something,
Hey,
if I didn't have any friends.
Tom, please.
It's just
I want to
logic.
thank, I agree. I want to thank Demolished Doctrine. Thank you for joining.
Peace and respect, Jack.
Brother, to you. I've been admiring you. I've tuned in for some of
Whatever for.
your level of compassion. It's been a wonderful example for me, and I'm trying to do better, man, but holy cows.
Well,
I'm not sure.
well, first of all, I was not always a very compassionate person. I've been a horrible person in my life. And for 30 plus years, I was an anti-theist. And I promise you, I was not the same person you see today. But it's Christ's intervention in my life that changed me, and his convicting me as to what the truth was, and that anything other than espousing the truth is nothing more than a waste of time and brain energy.
We live in an age, brother, where the truth is just, people don't seem to care about what is true. And
Well, I mean,
go ahead.
really, I have to say that in certain circles, you can be right. But I also see a people who want to know what the truth is, that are hungry for it. And maybe it's partially because it's so profoundly, invasive in our societies, that people don't value truth, that it kind of causes these other people to have this hunger for it. They're starved for it. Don't you find that?
Actually, there's a mix. There is a very true mix, because there is I don't know if I mentioned it in this stream, but I've seen enough signs. There is a true spiritual revival that's happening. There's more, maybe I don't think it's just my experience, but I'm seeing more and more conversations about God, not just in the church, but conversations about the churches, and people are really trying to know. I think you're okay. I just talked myself into agreeing with you. Thank you.
Okay. Well, okay, so we all know it's the squeaky wheel that gets the attention. And the question is, who's more squeaky? Someone who is trying to find peace, trying to find truth, trying to have honest, conversations about these things, and asking the real question, what can I say about the truth that I know? And what conclusions should I draw from that? Now, that kind of person is not very loud.
Right.
Just like
What I'm
in my experience of you, you've been very infrequently loud. Well, why is that, Jack?
because being loud doesn't help.
There you go. There it is. That is not, being loud and upset is not the answer.
Yeah, it breaks down our communication. See, and that's what
So
I
then
mean.
adversely,
Mhm.
sorry about that. So
No,
then
please.
adversely, well, I thank you. Adversely, the person who is upset, who is unreasonable, who doesn't want to have an honest conversation is going to be more loud and get more attention.
And that's
So
the
they seem
fleshy
like there's more
desire.
of them. Yeah.
Well, okay. This has been my frustration, though. I'm not saying this pridefully. I'm saying this humbly. I truly feel blessed by what God has allowed me to discover and learn over the past 6, 7 years, especially, but my whole lifetime.
Yeah.
And when I'm facing these, my reputation publicly, it's been destroyed, right? All of these people want to just publicly mock me and tell other people, oh, don't listen to him. He's a failed life coach. He's a rapist. He's a liar. Don't listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to have faith. I really am. But this morning, I'm tired. I am so tired of this. So I'm here trying to share faith and encouragement and positivity, trying to help people believe that, hey, maybe this world can change. I mean, if we could try to end wars and try to bring some help and solutions to people like us that we've never met, but people on the other side of the world that we know are suffering, if we could,
Sure.
would we
Sure,
try?
absolutely. And you could call it, I mean, there may not be any such thing as actual altruism, but I want my life to be easier and better. I want there to be more love and less anger in my life. And in order to accomplish that, I have to spread it to those around me, because if those around me are constantly in anger and confusion and in hatred, if they're in those things, then that's what I'm going to experience. Now, that's true to everyone, and it scales around the entire planet. Why would anyone spread a message that they know isn't true, or discontent and hatred and lacking empathy? Why would anyone want to stir that up? The only reason I can think of is they want their life to be worse. And that's a self-hatred.
They don't, yeah. Well, this is what I realized. Hey, we've got people in the back. This is the life. I don't like pushing people away, because I know the best way to help people is to try and communicate with them. Help people is to try and
Richard,
communicate with them.
we've always had good interactions from panel to panel, Richard, especially on that globe tip. Do you think my eccentric volume level has ever been the wrong? I kind of feel like that's where I get that energy, is from the truth.
Yeah, I think you're good. I think you're good, Tommy. Jack, the only reason I came up here is because I've come
Where
to the
did Moose come
conclusion
from?
that you are looking for the right people in the wrong place. You're looking for people to help you, and this YouTube panel thing. Yeah, there's nobody here that's going to achieve anything for you. So that's all I got to say. They
Well,
have nothing to offer you. Peace.
Moose, we're trying to get him steered to more plausible objectives. We're not really not helping him. We're slowly
No,
trying to.
Tom, you're not doing what you're saying. You're not pointing me to any objectives. You're
Well, we
just
got to
telling me
talk you
I'm
out of
wrong.
the.
Tom, you and others have just been insistent that I'm wrong. You haven't
No,
been
no,
pointing to any
no.
solutions, and frankly, what
I
Moose
believe
offered What Moose offered was a
I
revealing of himself, because he feels that about himself. He can offer nothing, so he offers nothing. And he's
well,
partially right about the others here.
Moose can clean up his terminology a little bit. Jack, I believe you have good intentions and your heart is in the right place. I think it would be better suited to different goals than ending all G.I. Joe versus Cobra.
How
I
about
agree.
I'm literally, if you haven't noticed, I'm literally just trying to end the wars with people like Snafu, Paul, Tom,
Oh, that's
Margot,
what brings people in the seats. That's what put asses in the seats, though. And
who's
Jack, you
hold on,
still
Tom,
kind of,
Tom,
you still,
hold on. We've got a new guest here. I'm not sure who it is. Whoa, Black Betty, what are you doing?
Bam lamb.
You can go away.
ambulance.
Someone in the
But,
back.
Jack, you still kind of frame Snafu like he hasn't ran that on all of us at some point. You still kind of see it as like, oh, woe is me. Snafu said
Hey,
everything.
Tom, thank you for pointing that out. That's exactly my point. Why have we, not just me, why have we not worked together to confront some of this insanity so
We have.
so that liars are called out and held accountable for the lies that they're saying?
Do you
Okay.
still bring him up on your panel?
But Tommy, that's what I'm here for. I'm sorry to interrupt. Jack, with all due respect, no matter how I see some traits about you, right? Let's go back to exactly what you said about the grape and snafu, right? You keep thinking that I'm attacking you on the grape when actually I've been the whole time, even with the interview, even today, I told Snafu there is no there's something wrong with Chemo's testimony.
There's something wrong with Snafu, too.
Well, I mean, there's something wrong with all of us, I would say.
No, not the way I say with Snafu. No.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, if just like I said earlier, if I disagree with Jack, just say I disagree with Jack, not on the grape, but anything else, he's gonna kick me out. That's not fair. That's not kind. I'm trying to be
Hey,
truthful with you.
Tarek, so you say.
Okay.
You make a lot of claims that you're being truthful, but when you share your opinions, you don't really care to correct yourself when you're wrong.
Okay, so tell me when I'm wrong and I'll correct myself.
What is
I'm
Tarek
here.
wrong about, Jack? What is Tarek lied about?
He's not straight on Christianity yet, but he's coming around.
Margot,
Jack,
please
what
explain.
did
Margot,
Snafu have?
Margot, I muted you because you're not here to bully me around. I'd like you to, rather than expecting me to answer to you, please explain your intentions, Margot. Why are you here?
My intentions is to stop a bad man that has hurt everyone he's ever come in contact with, Spokane, Washington. You are a liar. And
Margot, so in other words, you've taken it upon yourself. Actually, Richard, would anyone please help me? This woman, Margot, has been lying about me since 2018.
What did I lie about, Jack? Give me one lie.
You could just not address it, Jack. I mean, you're calling out for help. Like, you don't have to do the loop for the 1,000th time with Margot.
Yeah, I don't have to do the loop with you either. You don't have to tell me what to do, Paul. So if
Jack,
you
did
can't,
you know that Pastor...
Hey, Margot, I'm going to try and be polite with you. So, and actually, Richard, may I put you on the spot, please?
I don't mind at
Are you
all.
there? Would you please try and communicate with Margot for me so I can back off?
I'm happy to talk to anybody. Hi, Margot. Richard.
Richard, it's nice to meet you. I've never met you before.
Yeah, that's my memory too. I don't recall ever having a chance to speak with you. So perhaps if we got down to the nitty gritty, some of this could get settled. What do you think of that?
I'm all for that, Richard.
Okay, so if you're not coming into Jack's show agreeing with Jack or edifying or try to increase or and go along the path that he's trying to go on, what is the purpose of being here?
My purpose is to make sure that Jack is being called out for the liar and bad person that he is.
Okay. All right. So that's a lot of assertion, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I don't know your experience, and I won't deny your experience, but I would love to know, some details about, and if you keep it brief, because it sounds like you might have a long list. Of what exactly you're talking about, and maybe we could talk about it.
Well, Jack has lied and said that his ex-wife Gina has brainwashed their adult son. That is not true. Jack,
You know these people?
Yes, I
Here,
do.
and one at a time.
Now Jack is going to interrupt because he cannot be quiet.
What I'd like to point out is, while Margot finds offense in the way I describe it, my reality is my son's mother taught our son that he should avoid his father.
Actually, Richard, may I respond to that?
Well, of course, I need all information available.
Yes. One night, Jack's son was at Jack's home, and Jack came into the room and said, "Dominic, I'm going to go kill your mother." And he walked out and left him home alone.
That's not accurate, Margot.
Yes, it is.
Let's grant if it were true. If it were true, is the woman dead?
No.
Right.
But
okay,
Dominic,
so
Dominic is
so you're
very
testifying
closely,
he made a threat about the woman, his ex at the time?
he scared Dominic, and Dominic believed that Jack was going to go end his mother's life. Dominic,
that's not good.
Has nothing to do with his father.
That's not good. I need more detail, if you'll forgive me, Jack, since you asked me. How old was this young man at the time? 10, 15, 20?
He was about 14. He was a minor. He was a child.
Okay, well,
Margot actually doesn't know. She's not actually been any part of my life. She thinks she knows me. She thinks she knows all the facts. But Margot is a very confused and bitter lady.
He cannot deny that he told us.
Who admitted she joined this panel to try and make me look bad. Okay.
Well, she could become progressive, right? That could happen.
She could what?
Don't you think she could become progressive if everything were settled with her?
If she would, yes. If she would come to terms with the probability that she doesn't know me, we could actually talk about God. We could talk about healing. We could talk about actually the benefits that maybe a man like me who raised my son without God. I mean, Richard, this is my life. I did make mistakes with my son. I was focused on my...
You made mistakes?
Yep. I was focused on my union, focused on my job. I was angry and bitter at the failure of my marriage. And so I punished myself by drinking a lot. And that was a really, really shitty example for my son. However, since that time, right, before this imagined accusation against me, which my son imagined, did not experience, but this has been my life, dude. My career was ruined. My family was broken apart. My reputation has been destroyed by people who think and spread their lies. So,
right. So here's the problem, Jack. From my point of view, you understand that I cannot sort out right now anything that you believe as being true or false, your son believes as being true or false, or that Margot believes as being true or false, without just asking a bunch of questions, keeping a lot of really good notes, and finding out where the discrepancies are. Yeah, you understand that, right?
I do. And
Okay.
part of my frustration is, let's get the answers, right? I got all these people wanting to put on these mock public executions of me, mock trials. Let me speak with the victim of the rape. Let me speak to my son. Let me speak to my ex-wife. Let's get there. Let's find the resolve. Richard, I've been for 6 years. My heart was heavy today, and my heart was heavy today because the realization we're coming up on 6.5 years now since I've been allowed to have a conversation with my family, my son, my friends. I don't know what's going on. I trust God is in my life, and I would love, 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 love to introduce my son to God, to have him next to me at church one day again. Holy shit, we never did that before. And
That would sound like a dream, yeah.
people like Margot have gone out of their way to make sure all of my attempts have failed. So please, Richard, if you're willing, I should have asked, are you willing to
I
dig
thought
into
that's
it?
what you were asking me. I think I
Please,
already agreed to try. I'm not saying I'd be good at it, but I'd try.
please, and thank you.
Okay, so I have a question for you, Jack, something you just said, because I need to fill in a lot of blanks here, like a lot. You said it's only been 6 years, 6.5 years since you've been allowed to, right? And which means there was a time you weren't. How long was that time?
Well, the first 15 years of my son's life, I had him at the least every other weekend. Most of the time, it was half of the time. We had shared custody, and then because of my job and school, she moved to a different school district. I became an every other weekend dad. I got sober in 2016. I stopped drinking. I reached out. I was working on repairing the co-parenting relationship. I was working towards all of that. And then at the end of 2017, I had a spiritual shift, an awakening. I don't know. Something happened in me, and I found God. I found love. And ever since then, people have been unwilling to, in my personal experience, and here in where the town I live, people have been unwilling to try and know me ever since.
Okay, but
Jack
it's
has
more.
been a
Wouldn't it
very
be more
violent.
accurate to say? Sorry, go ahead, Margot.
Oh, Jack has been violent to and around his neighbors, to and around his son, to around.
Not accurate. Not accurate.
He was beaten up on Sprague Avenue in Spokane, Washington.
Margot, you don't know anything. You just seem to be wanting to get everything out. Just paint Jack to be the most horrible person in the world.
Well, let's grant it all. Let's grant it. Let's grant that all of that's real. I'm not saying it is real, but let's grant it for the sake of the conversation. Now, if I take the position, if I put myself in the position of onlooker Margot, what I'm going to do on average, most people, what I'm going to do on average is I'm going to say, who do I love more, and thereby I'm more persuaded by, and thereby I give more credit to. And now it's just human nature. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that, Margot. I'm not saying that at all. From Jack's point of view, I'm going to say, yes, I was horrible. Yes, I made a lot of mistakes, but people don't want to accept that I've changed. Is that
I
fair?
don't believe that's changed. He shows his anger
That's
on
right.
a very regular basis.
Okay. Well, I don't know that. All I'm doing is collecting what other people say. That's all I can do here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I respect that.
All right. Okay. So
So
I can see the position of the ex-wife, the position of the son, Jack's position and your position, Margot. and I would want more of your experience, Margot, because I think there's huge gaps in the map for me that I need filled in order to understand anything. Because I think right now I don't understand anything.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I met Jack in Alcoholics Anonymous several years ago. Several of us tried to help him. One day, Jack had this spiritual awakening of some sort and left AA, and then found out shortly thereafter that he was harassing some of my students' families. They lived in the same neighborhood.
Okay.
And then I found out that his son was friends with my children.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, he put on Facebook that he needed to know more information about me because I was harming him. And
Pause.
at that
I
point,
got
my
a bunch of
family
questions already.
owns a security company in Spokane, Washington.
Hey,
They
Margot,
they saw him
Margot,
on Facebook.
Margot, please
saw his-
pause. Margot, please pause.
I'm talking
You
to
were,
you right now.
I know, and he was trying to let you know he has questions.
I just want, before it gets off topic and we both forget, because that will happen.
Yes.
Okay, so you were at AA to support Jack, to support someone else because you needed help. Which of these?
Well, no, I'd been in AA for several years. Jack came in attempting to detox.
You were
And
working there.
No, you don't work for AA. I am a member
Well,
of
I mean,
Alcoholics
volunteering, or
Yes.
you were volunteered there, right?
I was attending meetings as a participant.
What does that mean? That means you once had a problem yourself.
I'm a recovered alcoholic. Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I'm just trying to figure out why you were there at all. Okay. And then you said children were friends, and your child is of what sex?
I have a son and a daughter.
And the ones you're referring to is both of them, yeah?
My daughter is about Dominic's same age, and
Dominic is Jack's son.
his former son. Yes.
This is the only time I've heard that. You'll forgive me for having to ask questions.
If I may, I have evidence that counters some of the things Margot has already claimed.
It's okay, Jack.
Well, I've not had a chance to share my evidence. I mean, tell you what, if you want to see what Margot painted as I'm reaching out on Facebook, what I specifically said, I'm still seeking assistance with confronting this lovely woman and her inappropriate behaviors. If you know Margot Davey and are willing to assist me, please private message me for additional information. Would someone who also cares for this woman, Margot, also meaning I care for Margot, would someone who also cares for this woman, Margot, please contact me privately?
This was after he told his son that he was going to kill his mother.
Not accurate, Margot. It's what you think, but that is not true. You never fucking asked me any of this. I'm sorry, Richard. This is
Jack.
These things aren't easy.
Jack, you're not my resource.
And it wouldn't make sense if you used Jack as a resource for information anyway, would it?
Exactly. No, absolutely.
If we want to know the truth, wouldn't we go to the truth?
You're not the truth.
Margot, if it's about me, my testimony has some validity.
And from Margot's point of view,
pardon? I'm sorry.
And from Margot's point of view, were you Margot, would you be asking Jack for information?
Absolutely not. I also have friends in the United States Postal Service that witnessed Jack come in.
You know, Richard, I don't have the patience I thought I did.
Okay. Well, maybe this isn't that time.
Well, I'm seeing no willingness from her. She feels completely righteous in her behavior and her accusations. She's not interested in resolve. She said when she showed up, she's here to spread her bitterness, make sure to publicly punish me because of
That's true.
thoughts she thinks.
That's true. Which doesn't mean she couldn't change her mind at any point. Now, your experience much longer than mine being what, 5 minutes or something. Your experience is probably a better accumulative map than I presently have. I freely admit that. And I did sense that Margot was feeling as if maybe she was trying to figure out whether or not she needed to defend herself or simply explain herself, and seemed to have been wrestling with that a little bit, which is fine and normal and acceptable. It's completely human. It's absolutely fine. I totally get it. But in order to be fair, there needs to be free inquiry amongst all parties involved. And I can't even do that here because your wife and your son are not here.
Right. You know, Richard, again, my faith is in God. You are a man of God. That there's no doubt in my mind.
I want to be. I sure want to be.
God is, your efforts are showing. Okay. And thank you. I'm striving to become more of a man of God myself. And God has allowed me to be tested.
Did you pray for patience?
I have.
That's a huge mistake, man. You know what he does if you pray for patience?
I know. Well,
he gives it to you.
I found patience, and I learned surrender, and then I also learned pleasure. I learned the bliss of spending time in with God. I spend time when I'm not online, deep prayer, deep meditation, seeking to grow in my relationship with the divine. So for me to continually go from that state to experiencing this, it's been pretty frustrating.
Sure.
Richard, I want to thank you, and I don't want, if you're willing to continue, my frustration, I have this record of dealing with this in the past, but you clearly have a method of communication that I don't. So if you're willing to continue to see if Margot can reason, please.
Of course I'm willing.
And Margot, thank you for your willingness. I appreciate that too.
You know, if what I believe is true, and I can't prove that it's true, but what I believe is true, and that we're all children of the same God, all of us worldwide.
I agree with that.
Then I should be respecting each and every one of you, despite what you might believe or what I might believe in the moment. It's been my experience that as life went on, as time moved forward, even in a B theory of time, as I experienced time moving forward, my understanding of reality changes because I have new experiences. And there have been times where my map of reality drastically changed suddenly because of some piece of information.
And
that can happen to anyone. Yeah.
I'm a behavior specialist and a special education teacher, and I base my opinions and my decisions on past behavior, and
of course,
and statistics. So if there's 10 behaviors and 9 behaviors are pointing towards one thing, and one behavior's pointing to another thing, let's say I like the color blue more 9 times, and I like the color red more 1 time. I'm going to believe that the answer is probably blue. I'm going to go with the majority.
Sure.
Can I please ask, Margot, why do you want to believe the things that you believe about me? Because clearly you want to believe that you have every right to be insulting and disrespecting to me because of what you think from the past. So why do you want to do this to me?
I believe that that history isn't what I want to believe. It's what I witnessed.
Well, Margot, I've been pleading with you and others to help you. You did not witness what you think. And you keep looping on the past as though the past gives you some sort of right to be a dick today, and you don't. We are all made from the same. You allegedly agreed when Richard pointed out the idea that we may all be children of God.
I don't believe it was
Why?
kind when you called me a dick.
I don't care. Do you think it was kind of you for you to be up here saying you want to punish me because of this and because of that and then all of this other stuff? Was that kind of you, Margot?
Richard, did you hear me say that I wanted to punish him?
That exact word? I don't think so. But
Okay, thank
that
you.
general intent, maybe.
Well, frankly, my intent is to take care of the individuals that Jack tries to harm on a regular basis. When he says that when he
Did you
says
say
that
regular
Dominic was
basis,
brainwashed, Dominic is
Margot?
not brainwashed. Dominic is
Margot,
not confused. He's a
you're not
wonderful
present.
young man.
You're
Dominic
not
is a
present,
wonderful young man.
Margot. Margot, you're not present. You're looping and you keep repeating the same old deflections. You want to go back to the same things. Paul, you can leave, dude. I don't need your nonsense in the back.
Well, Jack, I won't loop about
Hey,
you.
Margot, please. I'm sorry for a pause and I'm sorry for the interruption, but you just said that Jack is you're here to defend those who Jack is constantly after. Who and when? When did Jack do something and what did Jack do that causes Margot to join today? Please.
Once again, you have said that that Dominic was brainwashed by Gina. That is not true. Dominic formed his own opinion and has made his own decisions.
You didn't answer my question. I asked you to clarify your words and your accusation, and you deflected again.
What words do you want me to clarify?
You claimed that you are here to protect those who I am constantly harassing, going after, whatever you said.
I think the word was consistently.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jack,
so
you
and who and when are you referring to?
You have asked people to reach out to Dominic to try and reestablish your relationship with him.
Is that wrong? For trying to reestablish a relationship between a father and son when I admit that I made mistakes in the past? Is that wrong of me?
He's asked you to leave him alone.
According to you or according to what? When? When did he ask that, Margot?
I don't know when he's asked you of that.
Right.
He
has not asked me that. I mean, you can infer it, obviously. But Margot, your bitterness is just, it's inexplainable.
I don't think I'm bitter at all.
You don't see yourself, honestly. You don't see yourself honestly. You don't look at yourself with honesty. You're prideful and you have been extremely publicly cruel, publicly antagonistic.
Who have I been cruel to, Jack?
I know you don't think of me as anyone, but I am a child of God.
Jack,
and you know what, Margot, I'm done. Richard, I want to thank you. Maybe we can change the conversation to...
Yeah, let's talk about edification and helping others to see a larger picture so that they're, at least having a hope in an attempt at making their at least direct world a better place, which I think is an amazing topic.
It is. That was a reminder from the sermon this morning. You brought up a bunch of scripture.
I didn't watch it, so you have to.
No, the church I went to. I went to a local church service.
Just saying, I wasn't there. Yeah.
Pastor was reminding us this, right? That we do have a responsibility for growth. And truly, my personal experience says the best way to grow is to align with God, align with the truth. When we go to the facts will reveal our answers. The facts will speak to us through our inner knowing. And the ultimate source of wisdom is God. So if we want to align with God, we grow in our wisdom, in our love, in our willingness to serve the world, because that's what God is. God serves us forth every day, every breath, everything is served for us from God.
Tell me about facts that I don't like and how I should approach those. I mean, things that are actually true, but I don't find attractive.
I love that. That is where we get to humble ourselves and to practice our humility. That was my note earlier. The flesh, we want to escape the flesh and align with the spirit. And if you can include the thoughts you have, if they're from the world, it's part of the flesh. And actually, most of our thoughts are unreal. So facts are, and it's our opinions, our thoughts on the facts that will cause us to find unpleasant feelings. But if we can remind ourselves only the facts matter, only the truth matters, and only now matters. Now is when we live. And so the only facts I really, really have to align myself with, well, that's not true. I was going to say in the present, but I've had to accept, actually, here, the willingness to be wrong. That is how to escape the ego. Realizing that many of our thoughts are unreal, many of our thoughts are wrong. If we can be without thought, then we can be with that which is real. And the answers are there for us to accept, to ignore, to appreciate. I've been learning how to appreciate. If we get facts in our lives that we don't like, sometimes it's tough, but this life is an adventure. And God is that which is showing us the way, whether we're paying attention or not, whether we like it or not. I know it's true.
Have you ever considered why governments have so often used fear to control a population? Would you talk about that?
It makes perfect sense. It's in line with the scripture, though, too. People suffer due to a lack of wisdom, and a lack of wisdom keeps people afraid. Those people, when fear and confusion, they go together from personal experience and just understanding. Fear and confusion go together. So the confused minds become afraid, and it's the selfishness and confusion. It's the flesh. It's the worldly ways. The spirit is true. The spirit is love. The spirit is free of confusion, free of fear and hate. And brother, this is why I'm so these goals that are in my heart, it had to have come from God, because there's no way I would have said, hey, yeah, Jack, go try and change the world. But it's in line with the scripture. Our God is the God of truth. Fear and confusion, they come from a lack of the truth. And our
Right.
government and corporations keep secrets. They're the
And
beasts.
not that you wouldn't get to it eventually. Perhaps you would. But if I'm alive for 50 years, then there have been several times I almost died. And I've had to struggle very hard. I have to sleep, exercise, eat, have relationship, work, plan, spending, all of these things to stay alive. And lots of things I didn't mention. However, if something's going to kill me, that could happen in about 1 second or less. So you have all of this hard work and maintenance to keep this fragile life going on. And the possibility of losing it is a real possibility and can be quite sudden and unforeseen. Sometimes it's unforeseen. You don't know that you're about to have a massive coronary. You don't know that, right? So we live in this situation where, at least on an unconscious level, we know how fragile we are. So what do? We're very, very on edge. We're always looking behind ourselves. We're always looking off to the side. We're almost never looking forward because we almost think we can't afford to look forward, because the lion in the bush is a real thing, sometimes called kidney failure, you know? So we live our lives in this fear, and those who would control us are aware of this. They've studied it. So they use what is naturally in us, this needed fear, to control us. Now, in order that we survive, we need this fear. So it's easy to encourage that fear in a person to the point where it becomes an obsession. And that's a great control method. I'm not saying great in the way of morality, but I'm saying great in effectiveness. Okay? So this is why we tend toward looking toward the negative, why we tend toward fear, why we tend toward distrust, why we tend toward no love, why we tend toward all of these things that are absolutely horrible for us, because on a basic level, it keeps us alive. Now, what do we do about it?
I think the best way to overcome fear is united. What you described, it is true. Our entire economic and government systems, the whole society, humans are programmable animals, right?
Sure.
There's been social engineers and studies on the mind and spirit for a long time, and programming fear and obedience. Those are the ways that wealth and authority get their power. And growing up, I was taught to obey. I was taught to respect authority, the elders and those in positions. And I was afraid, man, because when you're expected to obey and you don't fully understand, you get in trouble. You get hurt when you're expected to obey and you don't obey right. Well, that's the prison system. That's the court system. That's the military system. And after a couple of enlistments in the service, I was trained, I was taught, I taught myself to believe that a man in America, you got to be tough. If you're going to be tough, you got to be on edge. You got to be paying attention. You can't sit with your back to the door. You got to sit, you got to know the exits and have an emergency prepared, whatever. It's short-sightedness, like you just said, too. The vision for our future comes through clarity of the mind. But the world profits. People obey their jobs, their bosses, the banks, every letter they get in the mail. They just, hey, to overcome the fear, it's easier than we think. Because when we align with God, we realize we have nothing to lose. The only thing we have to lose is our fear, our inadequacies. And honestly, this is what I want to get in front. I've had this dream in my mind and my heart of somehow finding a way to communicate with the people in the American government. Because the facts are clear. This society is evil. Secrets and lies are profitable. That's evil. And the only way the banking system and the entire government corporate system, the only way it continues is if people choose to comply. And people choose to comply because capitalism profits from trauma. The entire money system profits from secrets, lies, violence, and oppression. And that results in trauma, and people who have been traumatized as children, they've never healed themselves because the world doesn't know how to heal. It just knows how to survive. If people don't heal their own personal inner trauma, inner insecurities, they will live a life of fear. And that fear, man, it gets spread and trained on. I mean, my life story is an example of this. I did a lot of things right. I did a lot of things wrong. I'm doing everything I can to not only pick up the pieces of the past, but try to move forward as well. I don't know why God has allowed me so many people who want to just stand in the way and try and beat me down. I mean, Margot's still in the back. We've got a couple of other guests here, Richard. I don't know what to do. What are your thoughts, my friend? I genuinely appreciate you.
I think we should always do what we perceive in the moment to be the best possible thing to do. So that's for you to decide.
Have you met El Perro
Yes.
by chance?
Hello.
Yeah.
Peace and
El
respect, sir.
Perro, another man of God and well versed. Although I hope to help encourage and help him grow in his own gentleness. I've been working on my own gentleness as well. And he has too, Keith. Both of us we were raised tough to be tough, and being tough makes us a little rough around the edges.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the patience you asked for. I am no greater test for patience than myself. When it comes to the issue with Margot, or anyone else for that matter, I came to a point in my life, and I think this is where Jack's at, despite any kind of spiritual or political or anything else, you don't ever let anybody else use their pen to write your story. And that's that you do not bear false witness. And so anytime you bring up something that's a presumption or a secondhand variation of anything and pose it to be absolute truth and stick to it, I don't care what position you come from. You damn well better have that foundation laid so that you can get on that stand and testify to it yourself. Because if you pose otherwise, you are doing nothing but bearing false witness. It doesn't say about bearing false witness and then having its effects to prove that you bared false witness. Just bearing false witness itself is the harm. You.
Thank you. Growing up, I honestly never realized how powerful and how important the words we use really are. The words we use, they create and destroy. God has given us so many powers. God has given us so much power. and we are foolish in the way we yield it. The power of words, they create and destroy. Margot is an example of others in my life who use their words to try and destroy me. But by the grace of God, I found the strength of God resides within me, and I'm just like everyone else. So I found a way to discover and experience the kingdom of heaven for myself, despite the opinions of others and despite the situations of the world. I think we all can. And honestly, if we could become better, would we try?
Which to me brings to mind, you know, in a philosophical definition of what a lie is, and that it involves intent of the propagation or the propagator of the lie. In other words, in order for something to be a lie, a person has to know they're saying something that isn't.
What if they don't think? What if they don't stop to think? Because I agree. A lie would imply intent, but there's a lot of people who think their thoughts are real, and then they go around standing on their thoughts as though it's a fact, just like
Sure.
Margot was doing here. She's confident, egoic, prideful that the thoughts she thinks are correct, and they're not.
A man said to me in an semi-structured argument, he said, "You just want to be right." You know, that sounds really profound, but it's actually it's like it's a deepity. It's about as shallow as a teaspoon. To say that someone else just wants to be right is to say that the person who espouses the challenge wants to be wrong. Who the
As
hell
well
wants
as-
to be
Gentlemen,
wrong?
I'm Detective Harris McGee of
as
the
well
Colorado
as-
Sheriff's
as
Department.
well
Law
as well as the fact that to presume that would mean that they would have to have already done their research and know.
Right.
And again, that's
We
the
got a few
falsity.
calls
We got
about
to,
a
again,
couple of
we've got to
boomers
stop doing the
looping.
belief thing.
Right.
Here, please.
Does this man understand that he has spurred in the backstage all of the things he has come up here and contradicted, this alleged Lamb of God?
So
I'm not sure.
instead of asking ourselves, you know, is this other person telling what is true? I think the correct question is this person who's espousing something believing what they're saying?
There's different layers of it like that. There's the knowing that they don't know the actual facts while still displaying a subjective claim. And then there's knowing the facts, but then you can have people deny that your facts are facts and call them an opinion or a thought that they believe to.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Tom. This idea of wanting to be right, I see that as the ego. And I get what you were saying, and I understood what Detective Harris McGee was saying. If people say something, they believe it. You can assume that they believe it. But that's what I wanted to try and get across to Margot. Any thought we think, we are making a choice that this is what we want to believe. And Margot, whether she's conscious of her behavior and the consequences of her behavior or not, she has wanted to publicly prosecute me. And I've done nothing to Margot. I've harmed no one. No one was ever in any threats from Jack Talcott, despite the narrative of Margot.
And My mom used to tell me that all the time. Keith, you just think you got to be right. And I couldn't say that it was a non sequitur because it does have something to do with being right. But the proposition isn't that I don't always think I need to be right. The proposition is that I only speak because I've already done my research and I know what I'm talking about. I don't want to go walking around sounding like an idiot like everybody else.
What the note I made earlier today, the ego wants to be right. The spirit knows that only good is right.
I like
So
it.
it's better to be good than right, I think. And the best way to be good is to be aligned with that which is true. Because when we're true, when we're honest, in theory, you should be safe. I have faith that the truth will show, that people like Margot and Snafu and Chemo and Paul and all these others, I'm confident they will be shown to be liars. Now, whether they intentionally lied or not, that is between Margot and God, Snafu and God, Chemo and God. Fascinating. Yeah, and I saw that our friend Noel showed up, who Margot has chosen to.
Yeah, it's like we've spoken before. It's kind of like a grooming situation by one of the very ones that's supposed to be protecting these type of people. Great job, Margot.
Welcome, Richard. What do here's where I'm sitting at.
Okay.
The topic today, it was intended to be inspirational, right? Particularly pointing at God. If you could grow in your relationship with God, would you try? If you can grow into a greater version of you, would you try?
Yes.
Still got Margot and Tommy in the back.
Yeah. Well, look, Jack, you know that you and I don't always get along. But I want to say a few things because I thought it was important to say them. Firstly, as somebody who's not a recovering alcoholic, who is an alcoholic, and will always be for the rest of my life.
Why do you believe that?
Well, you cannot be a recovered alcoholic, Jack. If you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic for all your life.
Don't believe that, Rich.
I was classified as an alcoholic as a very young man because I got drunk one time because my dad was an alcoholic. It's somebody else's classification, and that's somebody else's choice in saying that you are addicted. No, you can change your habits.
Yes,
Correct.
of course you can't.
Hey, Richard, what if you just become a former drinker like me?
Yeah, okay,
I no longer drink.
Jack, I get that. But Margot come up here and she said, I am a recovered alcoholic. You cannot be a recovered alcoholic. Because for the rest of your life, you cannot touch alcohol.
I disagree. I'm confident in my sobriety. I'm a non-drinker. I've actually even entertained, and I probably will have a drink of celebration with friends and family at some point in my future, or maybe a glass of wine on some occasion. Right now, I got a bottle of whiskey. I got all sorts of stuff for guests should they arrive. But
yeah, okay, Jack. Jack, I believe you can do that. I can believe you can have beer or whiskey there for friends that arrive. But I don't believe that any of us who drink alcohol, who cannot handle alcohol, can ever be.
Okay, you might be right, Richard. I'm certain there are definitely some, but I would encourage you to consider these definitions.
Jack, okay. Here, I only come up here because I wanted to make a point. And the point I wanted to make Look, Margot, I don't know if what you say about Jack is true or not. What I do not want you to do, and what I don't think anybody should do, even in the worst courts in the world, you're entitled to face your accusers. And I think that what you're doing is you're saying things about Jack based on hearsay. Hearsay is not evidence, Margot. Hearsay is not evidence. And all I want to say is that, if we were in a court of law, I would be sitting and I would have a defense and I would have people on my side of the bench and they would be saying, Your Honour, here's the evidence. You're not giving Jack that opportunity. And I think, Margot, out of decency, out of human decency, if nothing else, out of human decency, you should be saying, here is the evidence, Your Honour. Let me see how it works. And Margot, I see in the background there. Listen, I am not saying you're wrong, Margot. What I'm saying is this man is entitled to a fair say.
Thank you.
Richard, I can hear you speaking from your heart, and I appreciate that. And I hear compassion and the love of a good man. So I will take what you've said to heart. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I mean, honestly, if people just did that, if people were honest with each other, hey, I see these facts, Jack. This is making me think this. What is going on? Is there more facts that I'm not seeing? Is there something I'm misunderstanding? Because I don't want to think, Jack, that you're a horrible person that I need to waste time slandering publicly about. I mean, there has been recommendations, Margot. Should I take you to court? Slander, the defamation that you've been so proud about with no evidence.
Jack, can I just say, I would not go down that road. What I would think is that if you have other proof that you can provide to Margot, I would suggest that you maybe provide that to Margot.
Richard, hey, Richard, right. I'm not the one who's bringing suit against Margot. Margot has been bringing suit and claims against me, yet
okay,
no evidence. And Richard, I've been begging, let me get a fair day. This has been my path for whatever reason. God has placed me on my path and people haven't accepted it. I've been denied a day to present the evidence. I've been denied opportunities to face my accusers. My ex-wife never talked to me. My son came up with these accusations and then his mom pushed me away. There's nothing I could do.
His mom did not push him away.
I didn't understand that.
What's that?
I didn't understand that, Jack. I didn't realize that. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that.
I appreciate that, Richard. But see, and Margot wants to say, no, Jack, everything you say is wrong. Margot, you have no clue. Everything she thinks has been, you know what? This is the world we live in. It's
everyone has the right to face their accusers, and those that accuse must also be held accountable. So those that accuse also have to be held accountable. You cannot accuse a person, a human being on this planet, and then not be held accountable. You must be sure of your facts. And if your facts are not correct, you are as bad as the person you accused.
Okay, well, Richard, here's where we're at. Thank you. I agree. I claim that Margot has been wrong in her accusations against me.
Okay.
So what do we do? If she says she's right, I say she's wrong about the way she slanders me. What do we do?
So here's what we do, Jack. Here's what we do. If Margot is confident in her accusations, I think, like this forum or in a court of law, you go face to face and you say, here is why you were wrong, Margot. Or Margot says to you, well,
Wait.
Jack, but what Margot cannot do, Margot cannot do is say, this is based on hearsay. Hearsay does not, hearsay in a court of law would not be allowed. So hearsay cannot be part of this conversation. So she has to say, I have these facts. I have these facts. And if she does not have these facts, she has no case.
Okay, and if she has no case, what do we recommend she do?
Well, then
Margot, if you have no facts,
facts,
you have no case. And if you have no facts or case,
it goes further, Jack. When she makes allegations towards you that she cannot provide any type of evidence for, the court will order her to pay your ass, dude. That's the truth.
Yeah, but we're not going to do that.
Woodward obviously doesn't know the procedure because he's not from America, and I accept that. But at the end of the day, no, the people being accused are not just as guilty as the people that are making false allegations. You're a fucking idiot. Go ahead.
I'm not an idiot, Jack. Goblin, I'm not an idiot.
Right.
Richard, you're not an idiot. You're not an idiot.
Well, you're making. How are you going to say that the people that are being accused are just as guilty?
Goblin, I don't think I understood him differently than what you're saying. And maybe he misspoke.
The court will make her pay you. That's the truth.
This is
100% Goblin, but this is not where we're going. What we're trying to do is resolve things.
Yes, thank you. And so, Margot.
Yes.
If you don't have facts, all you have is hearsay, maybe you could consider dropping your case against me.
Yeah, that's where I agree with Jack, Margot. That's where I agree with Jack. Because if all you have is hearsay, it's a non-case. Throw it out.
Well, let's ask. Margot, do you have more than hearsay? Do you have witnesses who are willing to come forth and testify that Jack is just some maniac and a beast? And please, all of these people that you're protecting, Margot, there's got to be someone willing to come out and testify against me on your behalf.
I would love to hear those witnesses, Margot.
Well, actually, as you know, your family and the post office and your Colville friends don't want anything to do with you.
Margot,
yes.
That doesn't explain your behavior.
Where is your physical witnesses? Because we need physical witnesses. You cannot just come on to somewhere. Certainly in my country, you cannot. You cannot come on and just say things.
Okay, all right. And actually, Chemo is a friend of mine, and I provided Snafu Chemo's information. So
you provided part of gang stalking. Thanks for that admittance, Margot.
You're welcome.
You participated in group harassment, gang stalking of me publicly. Thank you, Margot. I think that's enough for Margot today. I think I've gathered more evidence for my future
Margot,
choice.
I am not disrespecting you, but I need to know where your physical witnesses are. Where are the people that are going to go into court, a court of law, not some panel that we have here, into a court of law and say all these things about Jack? Because what you have said about Jack, like, to be honest with you, and I'm a total outsider, they sound like slander. They sound like
You just got gold right out of the horse's own mouth. Have a good day, Jack. You know I love you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Peace. Richard, thank you folks for witnessing. We are here, all of us. God has created us all. God created this day for us all. And we each, as we go through the day, we have the opportunity to be honest witnesses, honest participants in this life.
100%.
Margot, regardless of what you think you've been doing, what is God going to say? What is God going to say about you, Margot?
God is going to say that he knows that I love deeply my friends, my associates, and children, and I would do anything to protect them.
Okay, but did
Marco,
God
as you
place the
should.
fear?
Marco,
Hold on.
by the way, as you should.
Hold
As
on.
you should. That's 100% what you should do.
Okay, but
Thank you.
Margot, are you saying that you think God is going to be proud of you for your fears? The fears that you want to spread against me? You know, because you're afraid of me harming others, right? You've said that many times.
I fear nothing. I buried a child. I have nothing to
Margot,
fear.
right. That's your bitterness. This is what I think. I think you've never reconciled your past. And so your bitterness is taking yourself out on a man of God. It's like you want to make sure that I suffer like you suffer to make sure I never see my son again.
And by any means necessary, meaning that you will bear false witness on your brother if that's what it takes. That's the fallacy of your presumption that God will like you for what you do, because he determines that by the merits of your actions. And if your actions are to go running around like Snafu making false witness, he's going to go by that false witness. You've done nothing but bear false witness on your brother, despite your act of kindness of wanting to help them. Are you truly helping them? Hold on, I'm speaking.
I'm sorry, I wasn't interrupting.
You were interrupting because I was still speaking.
I'm sorry.
Are you really giving good effect to the spiritual credence of your actions? Are they really done in the name of God, or are they done selfishly because of your wanting to be everybody's mama and then enforce your masculinity to play that false patriot part as well by placating that you get your authority from the very false patriot to say that these accusations will hold up in any court? They won't. That's your insanity.
Yeah, actually, buddy, I wasn't interrupting you. I was agreeing with you. If you had have listened, I was agreeing with you.
Hey, today kind of took a turn. I want to thank all of you, though, for your willingness to flow and to be a part of this.
Yeah, it's okay.
I think maybe it's time for me to start wrapping up, though.
All right, Jack.
Thank you sincerely, Richard.
If I could summate this show, at least my intent for this show today,
please.
None of us are perfect. All of us are imperfect.
100%.
Thereby, we can logically, rationally extrapolate that everyone deserves forgiveness.
100%. Thank you.
Wish my son could get reminded of that. I wish his mother could get reminded of that.
Yep.
He will, Jack. And my last words, guys, it's those little white lies that we continuously continue to accept that allow us to turn around and continuously bear a false witness. And if you can't stand up to that responsibility and put that down and be as true as you can to yourself, first and foremost, you will never comprehend what you're spewing out your mouth as babble, making your false witness against other people. So no matter how righteous you feel,
I agree.
So no matter how righteous you feel in your actions, the end effect is, are you truly helping, or are you truly helping destroy a family that you have no business even interfering with?
100%. 100%.
I love you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Richard, final thoughts? Thank you, by the way.
Jack, just to say that, whenever I'm going to say this, and as you know, Jack, I'm not a big biblical person, but I'm going to say this final thought to everyone in the room who is chatting now. Judge not, lest you be judged.
It's a simple truth. Thank you for that.
Final thought. Good night, Jack.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to bring back Tommy. Thank you for your patience. Didn't mean to leave you.
And it is that. It's actually a half truth, but we're going to let him slide on it because he's acknowledging he is a cultural. I mean, he's either Scottish or Irish. They love their alcoholism. But that whole passage was, you'll be judged at the grade, if you will, at the way of your judgment is how you'll be judged. And as long as you're okay with that, that's fine.
Well,
Jack, you're standing in your own way. A long time ago, I said I would take the you and Margot thing. And then when I went to plan it, you flipped on me and said, oh, he wants to do it on his channel. This is why it had to be on my channel, because I can't control what you throw Margot out over or what you throw me out over. I got the fairest panel out here. I only got 20 hours left of it before I go roofless.
please,
Should I waste any of that on you and Margot, or is this ever going to get resolved?
please
Hi,
seize
Tom.
the moment.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi. And Margot, you're fine. You can be a recovered alcoholic, and it's up to you and your own personal life whether you feel you can partake again or not. But don't let anybody tell you that you must never touch it again. South Park already covered that. That's why I keep a small amount of
Is that what you
methamphetamine.
wanted? Is that what you wanted to cover with her?
No, I was just wanting to make sure she wasn't taking that statement earlier to heart. I thought it was a little weird that she had to walk Richard so far around left field to be like, no, I was attending AA. Can we not just be honest about ourselves around here?
Thank
I
you.
can.
I appreciate your support, Tommy. May I have some
And
final last?
I support the truth, and you tend to be on that side.
Dominic Talcott's mother, Gina, is a loving, wonderful mom, and he's lucky to have her. And I hope you will stop throwing her under the bus, Jack.
And Margot, so you can hear it, despite what the DA that was shirtless said, you guys would have a long task of proving damages and
I know.
tallying the monetary. It's all a bunch of.
Hey,
And Jack, when
you're not helping. Margot,
Yes,
I pray for you.
I pray for you as well, Jack.
Hey, Margot, I don't give a shit because you are a deceiver. Okay. You are one of those who has despitefully used me for your entertainment. You have shown and shared a lot of spite and a lot of bitterness and your lies, Margot. I mean, please, you said earlier, you allege that I am out here harassing you on Facebook, yet I asked you before, Margot, what does it say?
Jack, you've had me
What
read it.
does that say, Margot?
Jack, you've had me read it like 3
You
times.
never did read it. You never did.
I never said you harassed me either. I said
You did here today, as a matter of fact. That's why I brought this up, Margot, because you want to paint the picture that Jack's been out terrorizing the neighborhood and terrorizing people you know because you live in such fear. You're a coward, lady. And you're very, very confused. And I pray for you. I pray that, Margot Davy, you find peace in your heart, that you find forgiveness, not just of me, but for your own behavior. I've forgiven you, Margot. I really have. I've forgiven you. I've forgiven Snafu. I've forgiven Chemo. I've forgiven Paul. I've forgiven all the people who have made my life, tried to make my life a living hell. Brothers and sisters, I'm talking to you, those of you who tune in for the Talcottian adventure. I'm talking to you who see the man of faith who I am and am becoming. I'm talking to you who have the ears to hear, and you can find the truth and the wisdom in aligning with love, in aligning with God, in surrendering to the peace that is eternal, surrendering to the love that will transform you. If you could live a greater life than you ever did before, would you try? If you could overcome your bitterness and your conflicts? Would you try? I keep trying. Brothers and sisters, I am confident that the world we are headed to is a world where people care about one another, where they're not wasting their hours and the days of their lives online fighting and arguing over nothing. Nothing. Brothers and sisters, if you want to grow and to become greater than you ever were, the chance is today. You have the opportunity of life. Embrace that opportunity and seize the responsibility to become you, truthfully, authentically, with care, with love, with grace, with peace, and with faith. Because it's truly with faith that we find God. It's with faith we find love. It's with faith we find the answers. Brothers and sisters, I started out this morning rough, but thankfully, through the Spirit of God and love, I was inspired at church, and I hope I can share some of my faith with you. Brothers and sisters, thank you again for tuning in. And for those who are here, let's join again in the future, I guess. Choose love, peace for everyone, and live without fear. Thank you again, and God bless us all. Peace.